Hey.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the
Macaw Podcast Universe.
It's the podcast that exists to prove people wrong when they say sequels are never better than their originals.
Whoops.
And my name is Micah Macaw.
My name's Jordan Macaw.
I have an album coming out next week, and if you're listening to this, you're required to listen to it.
Yep.
And
true.
What about you, Jordan?
What about me?
Do you have anything
that's coming out?
Yeah.
I have a zine that's out.
Yes, you do, and you can get it where?
Jordan Marie at your show.
Well, you can get them there at the show at Eden Ballroom.
I feel like I'm supposed to answer a question correctly.
No.
If you
I'm
go
just
to my
getting the
website,
plugs out early this time.
If you go to my website, recountreveal.com, and click on the shop portion, it'll take you to the shop, or it's jordanmariemacawart.bigcartel.com, and the zine is called How to Befriend the Monster Under Your Bed. You need it. I needed it. And I've successfully befriended the monster under my bed after reading it and writing it.
But we're not here to talk about that, are we, Jordan?
Nope.
We're here to cut into our regularly scheduled program.
Yeah.
That involves Freddy terrorizing dreamers everywhere.
Yep.
And talk about the DC Extended Universe.
Let's do it again.
So this is a series of movies that we've been covering. And the last time we talked about one, do you remember what the last DC movie was?
Was it like a new one?
It was one that we saw in theaters.
Really?
Yeah, it was. It was over a year ago that it came out. It was The Suicide Squad.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So that was the last of the DC universe, and then it has laid ever so dormant. Now, I before we get to Black Adam, I think we should discuss the DC universe a little bit.
Big news this week for it.
Big news, but let's not talk about that quite yet. There have been a plethora of schedule changes. The calendar of what this year was supposed to be is absolutely different. At one point, The Flash was supposed to come out, I think, in June of this year, and then it gets moved to like November. Aquaman was supposed to come out in December.
I'm assuming it got moved again.
Oh, yeah.
Not Aquaman, Flash.
Oh, yeah, it's moved again.
Aquaman was moved like far back.
It was moved almost a year.
Yeah.
But at first, it switched places with Shazam, which was supposed to come out in March.
Okay.
But now I believe The Flash is scheduled for March.
So I got a thing.
Yeah.
So, because we saw the Shazam trailer last night.
We did.
Was it your first time?
My first time.
Same. And it seems like they're just doing something that is done so little in, I would say, DC movies. But like it was a good trailer because it really is establishing what the character problems are, not what's happening in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a little bit of that, but it's like, hey, I'm a superhero, but now my family is too. I don't know where I fit in anymore. And it's like, great.
Yeah.
The personal stuff is still like important because it was in the first movie. I think that one will be good because like in this movie, there's like no personal. I mean, besides our main character, of course, but like, there's like no personal development between anybody.
Yeah.
And it's like that's kind of like that's your foundation for everything. Is you got to like tell us what's going on with people.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that our main character development stuff was even done well because it wasn't in this movie. But do you know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying, and I kind of didn't dig the trailer.
Yeah.
But I remember specifically not liking the Shazam trailer either, and being like, "This movie's going to be so bad." They just
never tell you, and it's a trailer. They don't have to, but it's like that. That's the kind of movie where I think it is important what's going to happen to our main character. This is like the movie we just saw. I know it's a different kind of movie, but it's like with the new Ant-Man movie coming out. Is there a trailer?
There is. It came out this week.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Everyone knows I'm pretty lukewarm on the guy. Not Paul Rudd, Ant-Man.
Yes.
And I just think I'm curious how that's going to go because I feel like where they've kind of fallen short is like I just don't think they've done like the personal stuff very well. Mm-hmm. Well, they get way too into the science.
Yeah.
But do you know what I just feel like that's kind of missing in a mediocre superhero movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually think Ant-Man, it's all in there. It's just not like to my specifications, I think.
Yeah,
he's got the daughter stuff. There's that relationship with his ex-wife.
Well, this just gets overshadowed with quantum stuff. That's like so boring.
Yeah, but we're going to get to that.
Yeah.
Let's stick to DC for the time being. But yeah, so Shazam! Fury of the Gods, I hope it's great. I want it to be great. But I think that Black Adam, a movie we will discuss in this episode, has me thinking a lot about something people have been talking about for probably 10 years now called superhero fatigue. I think I might be getting there.
Yeah.
But we're going to get to that. I still love them. But boy, I'm just like, oh, there's going to be like 2,000 Marvel shows. There's going to be another 2,000 Marvel movies. And then there's going to be another 2,000 DC movies. And I'm like, I don't know. I need, let me just go see Avatar 2 a couple times in theaters instead of watching another superhero movie. But so the thing that I want to talk a little bit about is the state of the DC universe. So we had this Flash movie that, by all accounts, according to the people who are involved, it's incredible. It's a game changer. Michael Keaton's in it. It's going to kind of reset the timeline. They can kind of restart things. It's adapting the famous Flashpoint comic series, comic event. And, well, Ezra Miller has been getting in a lot of trouble, which I think we've talked about on this podcast. We don't have to get into it.
I am done with it.
But I'm still on the side of I will be pretty surprised if this movie comes out. I think at some point they may have to just scrap this movie. But I also think they're in far too deep on this movie. But they don't even advertise the movie anymore, and it's supposed to come out pretty soonish. That's like 5 or 6 months away, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Then you have the DC, since the pandemic, I think they've gone through like 2 or 3 different heads of DC.
Really?
And then you have like the Warner Brothers Discovery merger with Zaslav, who took the Batgirl movie and just threw it away and didn't even put it on streaming, which, you know, his point was like, I don't want us to make things that aren't supposed to be in theaters, which, hey, I like that. Mm-hmm. But also it's kind of like, that's sort of insane to just throw away $100 million.
Yeah.
So there's stuff like that going on. And then yesterday, 2 days ago, as of this recording.
Yesterday.
Yeah, they announced that James Gunn, and I think it's Peter something, he's another producer on DC, is the head of DC now. And so James Gunn and this guy are now running the DC universe.
Peter Safran.
And so it feels like the future of DC is quite bright now when you have someone who genuinely loves this stuff and who has made really good stuff. You know, we fell off Peacemaker, but the Suicide Squad was great.
And a lot of other people didn't. A lot of people like Peacemaker.
Most people didn't fall off.
Yeah.
And you know, Guardians is fantastic. So
I'm really interested in this Guardians Christmas movie.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really interested who this Kevin Bacon character is. Yeah. They're introducing him, and he just seems like he's going to be around for a while.
Yeah, he seems like he's got that it factor.
Yeah, he's got several degrees to him, you know?
But anyway, there's your update on DC. Now, we won't be able to really see the full reach of the James Gunn of it all until probably 2024, I would imagine, because these movies are already shot. They're already working on them. But it stinks to see that news and then go to the theater and see the next entry of DC, and it is Black Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Because, folks, this movie sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It is, I jokingly said, and I stand by it, it feels like, have you ever seen those like memes or pictures where people go, I fed an AI bot like 10 scripts of The Office and then Dracula, and this is what it wrote?
Yeah.
And it'll be like basically The Office, but then Dracula shows up or something. And I think it's just a comedian, like comedians who are writing those and stuff. But this felt like that, where someone took every superhero script and shoved it in a computer, and then Siri was like, I'm looking this up. I'm reading it. Okay, Black Adam opens on Kahndaq, where there is a child narrating like 30 pages of dialogue.
There's 2 different narrators in the beginning, by the way.
There was 2?
I think the mom, like the woman, the mom lady.
Oh, yeah, she took over narration
she narrates
at some point.
First. And yikes, it was bad. It was like she was rushing.
No, the kid narrates first.
I don't know if she narrates first, Micah.
There is a child that's narrating at the beginning.
I think she comes after him. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, after.
You said first. You used the word first.
I'm talking about the kid is first.
Huh?
The kid narrator is first in the movie.
No, she narrates first is what I'm saying.
Who is she?
The mom in present day.
I don't think so.
Oh, I think so. Adriana. I don't think they ever said her name in the movie.
I honestly don't think they ever did either.
It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't. But yeah, this movie is just a conglomeration of just mashing together different superhero toys and just being like, does this count as a movie?
Yeah.
And the resounding answer is no. This is not a movie. But let's talk about how it was made. It's directed by Jean Colette Serra, who did House of Wax, Nonstop, and of course, last year's Jungle Cruise.
Oh, okay.
Where Mr. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was like, wow, I'm really impressed with your work. You should direct Black Adam.
Have I talked about his little clip on that Disney documentary I watched? I feel like I've talked about it on the podcast.
Of
Jungle Cruise?
No, you did, but not on the podcast, I don't think.
Oh, I was watching this Disney documentary just about rides, and it cut with, I think Jungle Cruise came out around the time this little show came out.
Yeah.
And it cut to him like doing promo for the movie, and he was talking about like he had been on the ride a million times, or like he worked there. I don't think he said he worked there, but like just he has the best memories, all the stuff. And as he's talking, it's like, I don't think he's ever been on that ride.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like, when would you have the chance to? You're only working out and selling tequila.
That's like, that's very vague. Like, you have nothing specific to say.
Right. I like the journey the ride takes you on.
Pretty
like
much.
Something like that kind of thing.
I laughed a lot as a kid.
Yeah, that doesn't count. The movie's written by Adam Sitztekiel. I apologize. He wrote the movie Maid of Honor, Due Date, which is a good movie and holds up, Alvin and the Chipmunks, The Road Chip. Now the pieces are falling together. Rampage, the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson gorilla movie, and Scoob. Okay, now I'm starting to understand why this movie is the way it is. Then Rory Haynes and Saurabh Noshirvani are writing partners, and they wrote a movie called The Mauritanian and The Informer Amazon TV show. I don't know either thing.
Is The Informer the one with Chris Pratt?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I think, no, that's The Blacklist. No, that's not The Blacklist.
That's James Spader.
The Terminal List is what I think that is called.
Yeah.
The cinematography is by Lawrence Sher, who is a Todd Phillips guy. He's done like most, if not all, of his movies.
It looks so gritty.
He also did, the famous Dictator movie, and Paul, the Alien movie.
The Dictator?
Yeah, the movie with Sacha Baron Cohen.
Oh, okay, I've not seen that.
And then the music's by Lauren Balfe. We love Lauren. It came out last weekend.
I actually kind of liked some of the music.
Well, yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
There was too much music, but I don't think that's his fault. Like, sometimes they just make these action movies like nonstop music, nonstop dialogue, and nonstop action. And it's like, dude, we need a character
Whoever was the
beat.
music supervisor, though, did not nail it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Let's talk about it.
They put in very popular songs throughout the movie a lot, too many times.
It's like 3 or 4 times.
So for one, this is not the kind of movie you do it for. We're talking about, like, this is some kind of like sweeping fantasy kind of thing. So it is not a movie for music drops.
Or they need to be really intentional. And these
were
felt
not.
very random.
But like the first one is the beginning of the movie when he's fighting a lot of guys with guns. And we're in the middle of the fight, and out of nowhere it starts playing Painted Black. And it goes, there's a lot of Zack Snyder slow-mo in this movie.
Yeah.
As if they're trying to keep that thematic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But like a lot of slow-mo.
Well, okay.
But the music was awful. I mean, it's a good song, but like it just made no sense.
Yeah. And then there's another scene where they're like showing a city or something, and then it just plays Kanye West's Power. And it's all also like, and this drives me nuts. This happens like more often in movies than you think, where like needle drops just kind of end randomly, and like really fast. So that song's playing, and also stinks because of right now. I don't want to hear anything from Kanye, but that's not the creators of the movie's fault, of course.
Well, this movie was made before. I mean,
right, exactly.
He always was problematic, but you know.
Yeah, but it's like they didn't know he was going to say a bunch of anti-Semitic stuff.
Yeah.
But so already I'm like, ooh, zoinks.
Yeah.
But it's still a good song. But then it just kind of cuts off, like randomly. Yeah. And then there's one guy who keeps listening to music, and that almost works.
But it's just not the. Well, I guess it's like fine for his character.
Yeah.
But I would have preferred not, because they didn't do it very well.
Well, yeah, and it was weird too, because at the beginning of the movie, he mentions that he broke up with his girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, if you leaned into that more, them playing Baby Get Back, you can blame it all on me, it would be really funny.
Yeah.
But they don't like nail the joke.
No one's an actual character in this movie.
He's the closest to a character.
He is a caricature.
Yeah, because he does fun stuff, at least. He's the only person that's having fun in this movie. And Adam Smasher. Those are the two that
I don't know
fun.
If Adam Smasher's having fun, but okay.
We'll get into it. But yeah, the needle drops were terrible and seemed pointless. To me, I am almost positive somewhere in the test screenings for this movie, which there had to be like 30 test screenings for this movie. Someone somewhere wrote down, I wish there was more music that I knew in the movie. And they said, okay, let's just throw in random music. But the slow motion you mentioned.
Yeah.
What I am confused by, and I don't want to make any Zack Snyder lovers mad, but often in the Zack Snyder Justice League, things are slow motion for seemingly no reason. They just are slow motion. But he does make visually striking stuff, so at the very least, like, it looks good. Mm-hmm. But in this movie, it's like, they were like, yeah, we really liked how in Justice League, it would just slow down for no reason at all, and a character would just be moving a little bit slower. But it wasn't showing, like, an impact of a hit. Like, I felt like the Cyclone Girl, they did this so often where she's doing something, and it could be cool, and then it would slow down with her just spinning, but not actually doing anything.
I think that they did it way too many times with her. They did it a lot when we first saw her use her powers, which is fine, I think.
Yeah.
But they were doing it even at points when it was like, we're getting close to the climax, and it's like, her character doesn't matter anymore. We don't need a slow-mo on how cool she looks in a tornado. It's like, we need to be focusing on Black Adam.
Yeah. Like, the first scene of the movie, it made more sense, because it was like, we're showing how fast he is.
She is?
Black Adam. Yeah, at the beginning. But after that, I was always kind of like, why are we doing slow motion right now?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look cool. Because this movie doesn't look good.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't look bad, but at least they did try to make some interesting color choices.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not my favorite color to wash out a movie in gold, but it's better than concrete.
What country are we in? I mean, is this a country? But like, where is it?
I don't think it is.
No, I know it's not a real country.
I would imagine. I was just thinking purely because of the AQ that it's probably in the Middle East.
What
like
does AQ mean?
Iraq, Iran, Kandak.
What is A? Oh, in the name. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
That's. I just assumed it was in that area, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, I just thought of something that I'll save for our spoiler alert section. But yeah, movie has a $200 million budget. It's already made 76 in the U.S. and 152 worldwide. It's going to have legs, most likely, and it'll probably do well enough for them to want to make another one. Do you know how long they've been working on this movie?
Too long.
So development began in the early 2000s.
With The Rock?
Johnson was approached in 2006 by the director of Tommy Boy, Peter Legal, who was going to make a Shazam movie.
Okay.
Shazam being the Billy Batson character, Shazam, Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel?
Yeah, we talked about this on our Shazam episode, and I knew you were going to have that reaction.
I don't know what you mean. You don't need to explain it.
Let me explain it real quick in case anyone else is confused. In the 30s, I think, when they created Shazam, his name was Captain Marvel.
Sorry, it's like I'm hearing it for the first time.
Yeah, and this was before Marvel Comics was even called Marvel Comics. It was another company.
Wow, so Marvel got so big that they had to change it?
I can't remember.
Same exact question I had.
I can't remember exactly how it breaks down. See our Shazam episode last year.
Wait, so hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. So that's interesting because we just saw a character in this movie who feels like a ripoff of Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Like a bad ripoff. And then we find out that this character has been around 20 years before Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Marvel slays.
Yeah. But we'll cover that when we get to Dr. Fate because I want to. Yeah. But yeah, at some point there's like a rights thing with names and stuff like that. And now like Marvel has Captain Marvel, who is, like the Brie Larson character and some other versions of the character as well. But the name Captain Marvel has like bounced around the companies. So we're going to make that movie, and Peter Legal, that director, talks to Dwayne The Rock, and he's like, it would be great if you were Captain Marvel, Shazam.
Okay.
And he's at Comic-Con, Dwayne, and people are hearing about this, and they're going up to him, and they're going, you'd actually be awesome for Black Adam, who is his arch nemesis.
Oh, interesting.
And he's like, really? And so he looks it up, and then ever since then, he that informed the producers and the makers of the movie, like, oh, we should make him Black Adam.
Oh, interesting.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
But then the movie's put on hold in January of 2009. And then in April of 2014, they start working on it again. Now I think by this time they've launched, or they're about to launch the DCEU. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure they're like, this is one of the big ones. Let's do it. But this is so crazy to me. The studio is sitting there and they're getting ready to make a Shazam movie, what will become the movie we covered last year. And they go, okay, it'll be Shazam versus Black Adam. Duh, that's like a Batman versus Joker situation.
Yeah. Batman versus, I heard Superman when you said Batman.
Yeah. Superman versus Lex Luthor, Yeah.
I
said Thor.
You did. You're probably saying it correctly.
I've heard other people say that, but we talked about it last night, folks, off mic. Anyway, so they're going to make that, and then they go, well, we really want The Rock in this movie, but he's too famous to just be a villain. So we should split it into two different movies, where one is Shazam and one is Black Adam.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yeah, you should have a question.
Black Adam is only a bad guy. Is there nuance to him?
The impression I get, and I don't know much about this character. Actually, I would say I know nothing about him, basically. But I believe he is listed as an anti-hero. So think like Venom or Deadpool or like Wolverine, where it's like sometimes they're good guys.
Wolverine's an anti-hero?
Well, Wolverine's a hero, but he sometimes kills people. But that's kind of different. But like Deadpool, it's like you might have to fight Deadpool, but sometimes he might help you.
Yeah.
It kind of depends on just if your two worldviews collide.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I think that's the deal with Black Adam.
Wouldn't that make sense based on he was given these powers by a bunch of wizards?
What do you mean?
That he wouldn't be a villain, like a straight up villain. Because these wizards give people powers.
Yeah. I don't think I'm understanding your question.
Well, they give people powers who they deem are worthy of them.
Uh-huh.
Why would they give them to someone they thought that ends up being, like, let's just say a straight up villain?
Well, they actually said that in this movie.
I know they did.
But they were like, they basically said we were too careless to give you power.
I thought they like retconned it at some point in the movie. I was kind of confused on what was happening.
No, they didn't.
Okay.
I don't think so. Which is that scene kind of retroactively made Shazam kind of cool.
Why?
Because it made me think like that's why they were vetting those kids so seriously, because this situation happened. a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you remember, the villain in Shazam
wants it,
and he was the one who like got one of the kids that got passed up, and he's like, "Do you know what it's like to live knowing you were never worthy?" You know.
Oh man, what a great motive for a villain.
I know. Instead of this motive, which is, the motive of this villain is, I'm Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Don't I look good and huge? That's his motive. So originally this movie was R. It would have got an R cut, and they had to make a ton of cuts. And that's the notes I have on the movie.
Why did they not? Because they just wanted to make more money?
Here's the thing, and I've heard someone else say this. I think it was in David Ehrlich's review for this movie from IndieWire. I think Dwayne The Rock Johnson is truly terrified to leave anyone out.
Oh, okay.
And so I think
you mean leaving any dollar out?
No, I think he is someone who wants everyone to love him so much that, like, when you look at this movie's like noted to death. There's nothing interesting. There's nothing new. There's no like, let's go out on a limb and try this thing.
I wonder what he's like as a producer.
Probably as boring as he is as an actor.
Yeah.
So to me, this movie strikes as like, well, we can't have it R because yes, we'd miss out on money, but it's like, I want everyone to see this movie. I want this to be a phenomenon. I want this to be the biggest movie. And I want everyone to love me, Mm-hmm. And it's like, I think about She-Hulk, which we just watched, and we'll talk about in our Black Panther episode. But a lot of that show didn't work. But at the end of the day, I'm like, at least they tried to do something different. I would like it infinitely more than Black Adam, which is like, let's be a 90s superhero movie before they knew how to make superhero movies.
Yeah.
So that's what I got.
When did we cover The Rock?
We covered him
Fast and Furious.
For the Fast and Furious movies.
So Aldous Hodge plays Hawkman. I wanted to say Hawkman. Hawkman, Carter Hall. He was funny because when they introduced his character, this is like an issue with DC for sure. Where it's like, you guys obviously know who Hawkman is. We're putting him in this movie. Huh? Who? What? The Falcon? Because of Marvel.
Yeah. Well, can we talk more about that issue? Because we talked about this after the theater.
Yeah.
So keep going.
Oh, okay. Well, about the issue?
Yeah.
I just think like I think DC just is always at a disadvantage, and they always have an uphill battle no matter how good, like no matter the script they have, I think. Because Marvel got in first and early.
Yeah.
And like franchise-wise, because we've had a lot of DC-esque things.
Yeah, well, I mean, Superman and Batman are like the reason we have modern superheroes.
But Marvel has just been so successful and has been so good, I think, about brand awareness.
Absolutely.
That's like why they're so memorable. I have not read any of those Marvel. I've read a little bit of Marvel comics.
Very little.
A couple of Spider-Man comics, and I haven't even finished the ones you've told me to read. And I've actually read way more DC comics.
You have,
Granted, it's only Batman that I've read.
And Sandman, which was under the Black
and
label.
Sandman, but
DC.
There's not, like, the only kind of other stuff they have is, like, Arkham, which is Batman adjacent.
Yeah.
So my knowledge is not vast on DC, but I have read more.
Yeah.
And I have never heard of any of these characters.
Yeah.
And I know that, like, no one knew about it. Like, Iron Man was not popular when they made the Iron Man movie, but it was a really good movie. And they nailed it. And I just don't think they figured it out yet.
No, and to jump on that, I do read a lot of Marvel comics. And so I do sometimes get that, like, oh my gosh, this character's in it kind of feeling. But I do think, for the most part, I'm sure we could find plenty of examples on both sides. But something like Black Panther, let's use that as an example. I didn't know, before I saw that movie, I don't think I knew a single character that was in that, had read them in anything else, except for maybe like, Black Panther's going to do this thing.
Yeah.
And what they did, though, is they introduced the characters in a way that it's like, oh, Daniel Kaluuya, he has this tribe. He's this guy. He does this. This is his relationship to Black Panther. Here's Lupita Nyong'o. Same thing. And so it was like, oh, man, I care about these characters. And it makes me go, like, to the Marvel app, and I'm like, what is this character's name? Oh, they have their own series? That's cool.
Yeah.
And this movie is almost like, hey, we know you've seen the Marvel movies, so basically Hawkman, he's Falcon. Okay, so you got that. Cyclone, basically in X-Men or something. You've seen those movies, right?
And then we have Doctor something who's, wink, wink, Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And then we have a young Mark Ruffalo type who plays the Atom Smasher or whatever his name is.
They're counting on you just trusting them without giving you any reason to trust them.
Yeah. I think that's the big thing is they haven't earned it yet, which is a kind of a dumb thing to say. But
especially when they're 11 movies in and they still haven't earned it.
I know.
But they haven't.
And and the Suicide Squad was even good. And I still don't care.
But that movie had so many characters, but guess what? James Gunn introduced you to them and gave you a reason to care about those characters. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But a lot of the DC movies are just like, now, come on, you know this stuff.
I think I in a way it's like good. I think that they're kind of trying to do this, but like, yeah, they're 11 movies in. I still do not have a bearing on how the DC universe works. I just don't have a bearing on it. And like, because when we have this movie and they need to take care of this Black Adam guy. Okay, we're gonna bring in this two teenagers. They're probably not teenagers, but these two kids to help you guys out. And all I can think about is they're X-Men characters. That's really all it feels.
Oh, like
they're just kids with powers. They're mutants. Yeah. That's like all it feels. And they're.
Well, it's like, why aren't they calling the Justice League, which was established? I know,
why are they called the Justice Society? I am so confused by it. And then I'm also just confused, like. How
they
this
seem
world
like
exists.
They've been established for a while.
Like, this is something that's really nitpicky, I understand.
Yeah.
But in this movie, they have people like with these weird flying motorcycles, science fiction motorcycles.
Yeah.
I don't think like my brain has gotten there yet in this universe. That like is normal to have.
I don't think that's nitpicky. I think that's the problem with this shared universe. Is like Marvel, I'm sure, again, we can find a lot of examples of not this, but they really did present it like, hey, there was Steve Rogers in the 40s, and then Iron Man started this thing in 2008. And then like the universe has filled in gaps, but it's not like contradicting itself.
Yeah.
And so now they're moving forward and there's so many superheroes and whatnot, but it's like, they get to move forward, whereas this one, it just introduces the Justice League Society or the Justice Society, which I like the concept a lot, actually. But it's like, so you're telling me if this exists in the DCEU, that like this has been around, but I thought in Man of Steel it was like a wonder to everyone that Superman existed.
Yeah, I don't get it, and I think what Marvel kind of has a leg up on in doing Iron Man first, even though I don't think they knew this at the time, is they now can use Stark Industries for so many things, good
you're right.
and bad.
You're right.
They've used it for good and bad. And so if I'm watching a Marvel movie and there's weird flying motorcycles, I'm probably not going to question it.
No,
that doesn't like rip me from the moment. But in this movie, it's like this is like conduct. I don't know if it's a country or if it's a state within a larger country. Don't know. And then they seem to be oppressed. They've been oppressed for like millennium.
Yeah,
and by like one government head after the other. So everything looks very run down. Yet there are people with flying motorcycles.
Yeah,
but it's like not the military, but it is. I don't know. Well, hold on. I think a big issue that they did too is they didn't put a face to this like oppressive government. Because the dude that is with her, the dude that's with her in the beginning, who ends up being the bad guy.
Spoiler alert.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Who cares? I mean, shocker. But like, I think like.
Actually, I think you know that in the first scene.
You pretty much do, I think. I just think they like needed to put a face to whoever was oppressing them, because clearly, like with this character, I'm not saying any spoilers, but like it goes back millennium.
Yeah,
and it's like why is he some kind of twist?
Right?
Why can't he just be like straight faced? This is it for him, and that's
for
his
the
goal.
villain.
Yeah,
I agree. That makes a lot more sense. But back to the comparisons of the universes.
Yeah.
The last thing I have to say about it is that I do think that the studios are tied because Marvel, from the get-go, has been pretty much, for the most part, critically and audiences like it. So if you go, hey, we're going to make a movie and we're going to reference events in Avengers 1, people are like, awesome, I liked that movie. Oh, we're going to reference something that happened in Captain America Civil War. Awesome, I like that movie. But if you take this movie and it's like, hey, remember that Batman v Superman movie? People are like, I didn't like that one. Do we have to talk about it?
Yeah.
And then it's like Justice League. Well, that's a whole can of worms because there's 2 directors and which one actually counts and stuff. So they're in this weird zone where they're always trying to be like, we are a shared universe, but we're not. Mm-hmm. Which is funny because Marvel Comics has always been this shared universe. And DC is much more open to being like, oh, this writer wants to come in and write a 10-issue graphic novel that's outside of any continuity of Batman. Cool. And they've always done that kind of stuff. Well, I don't know about always, but for a long time they have. And I mean, I think they just need to go all the way with it.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that with the Batman, they would learn that lesson. I have a feeling James Gunn is keyed into that. And he's going to be like, yes, we can have our tiny shared universe, but, oh, you got a good pitch for Superman? Let's make that movie.
Yeah.
Because we have 2 Batmen, so people don't care.
I'm curious what's been asked of him.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there are things that are asked of him.
Yeah.
And it's him. It's up to him using his resources and creativity to make it come to fruition, which I know he can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just thinking that in this movie, because it's Shazam related.
Right.
I wish there was more Shazam stuff. I think because just based on what I know from the first movie, this kid is picked to be Shazam because he's worthy of it. And like we said, the villain is the villain because he wasn't, which is cool and just so simple. So now we have this movie where this person, it gets so convoluted though, but like this person is like given Shazam powers. Okay, no, maybe we should wait till after the spoilers.
Should we just put the spoiler alert in right here?
Yeah.
Okay, spoiler alert, here we go.
Spoiler alert! 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 Spoiler alert!
Okay, so this brings up questions. So
you look like you were about to eat the microphone.
The kid, his son, the Rock's son from 2600 BC.
Yeah.
He is given Shazam powers because he has been deemed worthy.
Right.
We saw that. They were trying to do twists and turns at every corner with us, and it actually just made nothing clear, I gotta say. Mm-hmm. But we find out that the kid gave his powers to his dad.
Yes.
Could he do that? Did they do that in the Shazam movie?
Well, in Shazam, remember he gives it to all of his family members.
He gives it to them.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can.
You can.
That's
by the logic of the movie.
That's kind of interesting. That kind of feels weird, doesn't it? If these wizards spent so much time trying to find one worthy person, then he just gives it to everyone else.
Yeah. I don't know.
I just think because the movie
just
Shazam,
don't make it hurt the beloved Shazam.
Well, what I like about Shazam is it's just so much of a kids movie.
Yeah,
it is just like so simple. The wizards look so ridiculous.
Yeah,
like wizard wise.
Remember the 7 deadly sins actually look cool.
Well, they look cool, but then they're actually scary. But
I'm just pointing that out.
It's just very childlike to me.
Yeah.
So it's actually interesting that you have this Black Adam movie that is so far from it. It almost like they were considering doing an R rating. And I just feel like they didn't lean into any of that.
No.
Of why, I don't know, why wasn't this taken from him sooner or at all or ever or whatever? I don't know. It's just so they don't know what they're doing with it.
Yeah. Well, and maybe now's not the time, but what I can't wrap my head around, except for the possibility that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson just doesn't want people to, maybe he has a clause when he produces a movie that he has to be in every 15th shot of the movie minimum or something like that. because he has the same head when he's not Shazam.
I know.
Which is not the case.
And all I could think about was Captain America.
The first Avenger.
One, which came out a long time ago now.
Yeah, 2011.
And it still looks good.
It looks pretty wonky.
Yeah, it's kind of dated. It's kind of dated. He does like have a big head still.
Yeah.
But like it's just, I'm sure that if I saw it, it would look better, because I don't know why they kept The Rock shirtless. That's the issue. They need to put like something on him that, like, that he looks smaller, but almost like the clothes are wearing him a little bit more than he's wearing the clothes, because that's how it is for him.
But the real issue is that there's no reason why it should be the same actor.
Well,
because
that's the real issue.
We've never seen a Shazam being the same person. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
And they don't provide a reason for that.
Yeah.
And it's very silly.
Well, I wonder how much that is. He's the producer and he wants to be in as much of the movie as he can.
I think that's exactly what it is. He thinks that people love him that much. And I think people do. I mean, 76 million for a movie that is critics are like, hey, this isn't very good. And it's still opened at 67, I think. So it's like, people do love the guy. I don't. But whatever.
It's annoying.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
Now, so let's get back to this whole thing.
Okay.
I just can't figure this out. Why are we making movies about the villains to establish them? Because often the whole way that it works with a villain is the relationship with the hero. So when you release a movie, Black Adam, and you don't have Shazam, you don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that people who like Black Adam and Shazam are probably like, man, I wish he was just fighting Shazam instead of the Justice Society.
Yeah.
Because they're probably remembering great issues where that happens.
Yeah.
So it's just silly.
Because isn't this an interesting idea where it's a Black Adam movie and we still, I mean, with tweaks to make it better, but we still get it all from Black Adam's perspective.
Yeah.
And Shazam, it's almost like you don't actually feel like Shazam is the villain.
Mm-hmm.
You don't, but like we are sympathizing with Black Adam.
Yeah.
That therefore, like, it does lead up to they both fight, but
Yeah.
he's still the bad guy at the end of the day, and he has to learn that or something, whatever he needs to learn. Is that interesting?
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking about The Dark Knight, which is the best Joker performance ever. And that movie is the Joker's movie.
Yeah.
Batman is sort of like secondary to Joker in that movie, and we often cite it as the best superhero movie ever made.
That's true.
And it is the best Batman movie.
Yeah.
Like,
which this movie almost line for line rips from that movie.
Dr. Fate says,
he says, like, we
sometimes
don't always
people don't need a white knight.
We need the darkness.
And it's like, I think Jeff Gordon, I almost said, no, what is his name? Gordon. Now I almost said Ramsey.
Commander, Cadet, Lieutenant
Gordon.
Yeah.
Says, Commissioner Gordon. He says, people don't always need a white knight. Sometimes they need a dark knight. Isn't that what he says?
I don't know if that's exactly. But it's like almost.
You're talking about like the last lines of
as
Dark Knight.
He's running away.
Yeah,
and he's
I'll
talking
look it
to
up,
his son.
but keep talking.
It's it's bananas. You can't do that.
And it's even their same universe. Like,
I know.
Like, or I guess comics, Okay, let's see here. Commissioner Gordon. Okay, he doesn't say that.
Scene.
But he says he's the hero Gotham deserves, but not the one it needs right now. So we'll hunt him because he can take it because he's not our hero.
Yeah.
Okay, keep.
I'm gonna go through actors.
Yeah.
Aldous Hodge plays Hawkman. He is also in Hidden Figures, One Night in Miami, Straight Outta Compton, Die Hard with a Vengeance. He's in a lot of big stuff. And then
which guy is this? I'm so sorry.
Aldous Hodge, who plays Hawkman.
Hawkman. Okay.
We covered Pierce Brosnan.
I don't think we have.
Pierce Brosnan. He's a Bond, guys. He's also, I think he's in Mamma Mia. I've never seen him, but I think he's a dad or something, which I think is the plot of those movies.
I don't know.
It's kind of a joke because I'm sure people who have seen it are like, "Oh my gosh." He's also in the Thomas Crown Affair.
Did you
Pierce
mention
Brosnan.
he's a James Bond?
Yes,
Okay.
that's the first thing I said.
Sorry.
He's also on Mrs. Doubtfire, and he's hilarious in that.
Yeah.
And then Noah Centineo plays Adam Smasher, Al Racine, who is the nephew of Henry Winkler, who shows up on a FaceTime.
Yeah.
For like 30 seconds. And when that happened, I said to Micah,
yeah,
we actually talked a lot during this movie, but I didn't really care. I said, please let him only be in that. And he was. I don't get that. Why do you do Henry? I don't get it. It's a mess.
That struck me as like he didn't want to leave his home.
Oh, I want to
because of COVID.
Badly see Henry Winkler today and however he is in shape, put on that suit and get big.
That would be good. Now that's a movie I want to see.
Same. Anyway, this kid is also in The Perfect Date. To All the Boys
movie?
I've Loved Before. The Perfect Date?
The Perfect Date.
I don't know. Sierra Burgess is a loser. I bet she's not. He's in a lot of YA stuff, which makes sense because he is younger than us.
Oh, ouch.
Sarah Shahi plays Adriana Tomaz, the mom.
Okay. She's in an NBC show called Life with Damian Lewis that my sister and my dad and I watched every episode, and we were so bummed when it was canceled. I'm sure it doesn't hold up. Continue.
She's also in Alias.
Uh-huh.
Old School. Bullet to the Head. That looks bad. Wait, hold on.
Here we go. Jordan's going to present a classic movie poster, I think.
It's got Jason Momoa and Christian Slater and Sung Kang, who plays Han.
Yeah.
Have you seen this movie?
No. Show me the poster.
It looks so bad.
Yikes. You didn't mention Sylvester Stallone?
Sylvester Stallone's in it. Oh, that movie looks so bad. I kind of want to watch that.
Yeah, we should watch that. After we finish the 2,000 movies we have before.
I know. Anyway, that's her. And then Quintessa Swindell plays Cyclone.
Yeah.
She is also in Voyagers, Master Gardener, and a lot of TV shows, Euphoria. And then Marwan Kenzari plays Ishmael, or our bad guy. He is in Aladdin. He plays Jafar.
Okay.
Got a little bit of a antagonist on our hands. He's also in The Old Guard. What Happened to Monday? And
what
more.
did happen to Monday?
I don't know.
I bet Garfield had something
out.
to do with it.
Bodhi or Body, Sobongui. I did not say that correctly. I'm sorry. He plays Amon, the kid.
Yeah.
He is in A Million Little Things, The Babysitter's Club.
Okay.
And some other TV shows.
Sorry.
And then.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mohammed Amer plays Kareem, the brother. He was funny, so I'm going to give him a shout out.
Yeah.
He's in Mo, Americanish, Rami, and not much else.
Okay.
I think he's a comedian.
So, Black Adam. Now, again, as someone who doesn't know anything about this character, the fact that they kept calling him Teth Adam really started to get on my nerves.
That's like a cardinal sin in movies.
It's pretty annoying
when you call a
happens.
character that you know what their name is, not their name.
Well, and they literally did one of the worst things that has happened in recent superhero memory, which is the end of Fantastic Four, Josh Trank's movie, where they're like, we should call ourselves something, shouldn't we? And then I think the things like, man, that's a fantastic idea or whatever. And then he goes, what did you say? And he goes, idea? And then he's like, no, the word before that. And he's like, and then it cuts to Fantastic Four. And in this movie, at the end of the movie, someone says something about like how you need to change your name or something.
You need to update it.
Yeah, and then it cuts to Black Adam. Hate that. Hate that. So
They butchered the kid is trying to like give him advice on how to be a good superhero, like correct, because he's so into it. They butcher that. It's not funny. It is so annoying.
Yeah.
It's usually annoying at this point anyway, because we have so many superhero movies. We don't need people telling us what a superhero is anymore.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was like, shut up, kid.
So so here's something that's wild to me about the kid. I think I'm gonna go with characters here. I don't really care if we go through the plot or how we do this. We can just bounce around. But the kid, at first I was like, at least this kid's doing something with the performance. But this movie is so there had to be so many reshoots because they start just every scene feels like there's maybe like 40 million cuts in it.
Oh my gosh, so many.
And so much dialogue is voiceover. And there's even scenes where you can see the character isn't saying what he's saying. And you just know you can see the people in the audience who finished and said something like, I wish it was more clear what the kid was trying to do in this conversation.
The thing with the kid though is you do need him. You need that character because the whole like foundation to Black Adam's story is his son wanted a hero so bad. Like he believed in needing a hero that he became the hero. Which is cool. I like that. So like this kid is that kid.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a parallel. And it works especially when you get to the end and it's the big climactic moment and he like unifies everybody. Like he becomes a hero. I like that. They didn't do it well.
No. And you saw it like at the beginning of the movie, basically.
Huh? What?
Like everything in this movie is like when the movie started, you're like, okay, so they're gonna do this. Like, I feel like I could have just written down.
Sometimes you have to though. It's a superhero movie. You don't need to make it too complicated.
You don't.
Sometimes you do need it to be that
derivative.
simple.
It's crazy.
It is derivative for sure. But sometimes it is. There's nothing. I don't think there's always something wrong with like, oh well, I know how that's gonna end up.
No, and I don't think that either.
Yeah.
You know, John Wick gets his dog killed. I'm sure he's going to go kill everybody.
Yeah.
You know, it's how he does it that's interesting.
Yeah.
But this is like how he does it is things I've seen in every movie.
Yeah.
There's nothing new provided in this.
Yeah.
Except for scowling Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah.
Which is pretty boring.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I am just so bored with. So like immediately, even when I saw trailers for this movie, I was so not into it. The only thing I was into when they showed a clip of the big demon bad guy, I was into that. And then they revealed him in this movie and he looked so bad. So it was all ruined for me. But when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm tired. Like we already get it in Batman, like basically every year at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I did like the Robert Pattinson Batman. But like.
Listen to our Patreon episode on that.
Yeah. But like having a superhero who murders people or who hurts people within an inch of their life, I am just not here for that anymore. Maybe high school Jordan would be into that because it's like crazy and rough. But 28-year-old Jordan is just like, can't we just set a good example for the kids? And maybe that makes me a prude or whatever. But I'm just kind of like tired of all of the snarkiness and the like, yeah, I kill people. That's how I deal with it. And it's like, oh gosh, so like one-dimensional.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, Black Adam is literally a one-dimensional character.
Yes.
He doesn't really undergo any change in the movie.
He doesn't.
And he's the main character.
He doesn't.
But so back to the kid. I wanted to talk about him. You know, I mentioned all that stuff. In his room, he's obsessed with DC heroes.
Yeah.
Now, there's a version of this that works.
Yeah.
And then there's this version.
The kid in Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Is he into superheroes?
I don't remember.
Oh, I can't. I'm just curious if he was. Because it's like, that kid was done really well.
Well, there's a kid in Shazam that is really into heroes.
Yeah, that's true. He is really into
really well. But this really felt like they needed to like advertise.
Yeah.
It felt like when someone grabs a Pepsi Cola in a movie and make sure they put it right in front of the camera before they drink out of it. Or a Corona, if you will.
Man, the scene.
But wait. Okay. I got to finish this. Because here's the deal, folks. I don't know if you noticed, but he actually has a movie poster of Wonder Woman in his bedroom. Now, it does not have the words on it, but it is the position where she's in the battlefield kneeled and it's all orange behind her. That is an actual cover of the movie. You can't do that.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
And It also kind of doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't really make sense to me that there's this much merchandise for heroes that, according to the movies we saw, people don't like.
I know. They hate them. Everyone hates them. In this movie, they literally rip apart this kid's room. They rip apart and shred every superhero memorabilia, which tells me, F off, the guys. Yeah. We hate everyone here. We hate Superman. We hate Batman. We hate Wonder Woman. We especially hate the Flash and Aquaman because they got like smashed in the face on their posters. Yeah. We hate them. It's crazy.
It's wild. So I had to point that out because it was just like, what are you doing here? And his whole room, it's like almost wallpaper of posters of the movies. And it's not like any other different characters. It's only the ones they've released in the movies. Yeah. There's not even like a Justice Society picture or something. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
It's like F off.
It is. Yeah. Think Brian Cox from Succession.
Yeah.
So you were going to say something, though.
Was I?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
All right. Well, the movie starts with this.
I'm going to go by character.
Yeah, but we're bouncing around.
Okay. Movie starts with your classic exposition, flashback, 2600 BC. We're in Kondan. Is that what it's called? Konda?
So. Kondak.
Kondak. And it's just some empire like all the others. And this guy wanted to make this crown for demons so he could be like a demon king, but he needed a certain mineral.
Again, there's voiceover. And it is telling you things so quickly you don't really have time to process it.
They're rushing it like crazy.
And I guarantee you, I could bet money on this that the first version of this movie did not have the voiceover. The first time they screen tested it.
This is a challenge at putting out to franchises. Mostly superhero franchises.
Yeah.
Whatever next movie is coming up on the pike, like all these ones, there's always an exposition in these movies, which I get. Like there's a lot to explain. I would challenge a filmmaker not to put voiceover over it.
Yeah.
Just show us in visions. No, not visions. What I mean is like just show us by showing us. Not saying there can't be dialogue. People can tell stories. People can talk and have dialogue. Just don't have voiceover.
Let me tell you something. There was a movie that came out in 1977 that no one had seen anything like it, where a giant ship took over another ship, and then this metal robot and a tinier metal robot were like going around, and a man in a black suit came in and attacked everybody, and there was no narration on that movie, and people figured it out.
Yep.
Now, there is an opening crawl, of course. But it's like, if Star Wars could do it, I think you could do it too. Because that's an insane world to just throw everybody into, and everyone's like, okay.
I know, and I know a lot of it for superhero movies. This is how I feel. A lot of it, they're investigating whatever they're investigating, and then they get to this point where it's like, oh, I discovered this old book that is explaining this ancient villain's issues, and this is what happened to them. Let's do some interesting animation montage with voiceover telling the story. That is like that's a trope.
That's what Black Panther does.
It's what all of them do. And so I would be interested in a superhero movie not doing it for one.
Yeah.
Just trying not to do it, or just not having voiceover for it.
Yeah.
Because I'm starting to get to a point with them.
It can be done well. It's not a hard and
fast. And I'm not
rule,
even saying all of them are like bad or anything.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's a trope. They're just fulfilling a template.
Well, do you remember the Iron Man 3 voiceover?
No.
Because that's like the best use of it. Because he's narrating in the movie. And of course, Shane Black is pretty good at like tongue in cheek, and it's Robert Downey Jr. So it almost has a kind of like a detective vibe to it, like
that one movie.
Yeah,
Kiss Bang Bang.
But then at the post-credit scene, you see that he's sitting there, and Bruce Banner is like being his psychiatrist, and he's like, "So that was the story."
I forgot about that.
And that's kind of a brilliant way
to
do that. It's like a good like narrative function, where it's like he's trying to process all this.
So does Guardians do it? Do they have?
Do the first one?
Yeah.
No, it just starts with Peter
it just goes.
Getting taken by his...
I think there's some explanation for Ronan, but I don't think that's done in any kind of like pause the movie.
No, it's all like in scenes with him. Because it's like, he's like, I got to go get this planet.
What about Guardians 2? Do we have anything?
No, it starts off with Kurt Russell.
It's really good that James Gunn's now in charge of DC. I see good. I think Suicide Squad had it, but that's because like that makes sense for that movie. And
I don't think it did.
What I mean by that is like there were probably some scenes of like showing this person's backstory a tiny bit, but actually I don't think so. I think that's what the first one relied so heavily on.
Oh yeah, but the first one did
the first one had that.
where it would be like this person, and it'd show like their stats like
That's
a
right.
baseball card. But yeah,
Anyway.
I wanted to point out for the maybe one person that also caught this, or maybe more. I don't know. It's so nitpicky, but the way they mixed the voiceover was wild to me.
Very bad.
Very
bad.
There was kind of like it was like an echo or a delay, and I was just kind of like, they never showed, oh, this is a person talking in this room. It was just like, you just didn't get clean audio because, and that's why I think it's a studio note, and they were like, hey, we need this person to do this. They can only record it in their house, and they like don't have a soundproofed house, and they just recorded it. And they're like, it's COVID. I have to do this at home. Because later, there was stuff that was narrated that did not have it didn't sound like that.
I know, it was so bad in the beginning.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. But, yeah, the basic, so the Empire enslaved their own people to find the mineral.
Yeah.
And this kid wants to be a hero, or he wants a hero. So he is like, I'm going to take it in my own hands. And then is being executed, but becomes Shazam.
Yeah.
Right before he dies. And then I guess like kills the king before the king puts the crown on.
And honestly, the whole time I was just thinking like this scene would work for me if there wasn't this like kid or girl, I don't know who, like talking over all of this.
I didn't need it. I hated the design of the king, by the way. He looked truly bad.
Yeah, isn't that how some like old kings look though?
Probably.
Like Babylonian
why wouldn't they base it on?
Yeah, it looked kind of historical to me. So
I just did not like it. I just thought it looked cheap.
Oh, well, yeah, okay, that's a different issue than what I was thinking.
Yeah.
The other thing about the narration and any exposition in this movie is it's like you listening to this podcast now where there's no breaks and there's no breath.
Yeah.
So in this whole like opening scene, it's just like there was a place in Kahndaq. This place had this stuff and this king enslaved these people. These people, come on, what are we doing here?
And now we're present-day Kahndaq, and we're still under bad government.
Yeah.
And blah, 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 blah.
And in that scene, we had someone in a screen testing took a note where they're trying to get this van through a checkpoint. And then when they leave, a guy looks at his watch thing and it says like, detain this person.
And then
apropos of nothing.
The next shot, we see her in the van hiding.
And I'm like, 100% reshoot.
Yeah.
100%. And that's the Dwayne Rock of it all that I see. Where it's
but I also think it's a DC thing. I think DC thinks that their viewers are stupid. I do think that.
Yeah.
Especially well, Shazam's a good they're not all bad. It's hard.
I like some of these movies.
It's hard to remember that I do like some of these movies. But I would say for the majority, they're just pandering and like just thinks you're so stupid watching them.
Well, I think Suicide Squad, the first one, and this movie think you're stupid. Man of Steel and the theatrical Justice League really thinks you're stupid.
They think you're an imbecile.
Yeah. But then I do think that the Snyder movies have their own thing that doesn't really make sense to me. But it doesn't think you're stupid.
I think that Zack Snyder is like, and I know that Patrick Williams just came out with a whole video on it that is
you gotta watch
very
it if
extensive.
you like.
I've not
watching
watched
that
it.
Stuff. I'm talking to them.
Yeah.
I know you won't.
I just feel like Zack Snyder operates on a certain level of playing field. It's not above, it's not below. It's just a different plane of thinking. And you either are locked into it or you're not.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
I'm not either. But yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
He seems like a really lovely person though.
Yeah.
And that's enough for me. And I mean, he's done some stuff, but I
don't hate everything.
It doesn't really make sense to give him the keys to DC, which they did originally, and now they don't want to. Because
Yeah.
all of his plans are, as Patrick Willems points out in his video, basically turning it all into the Arthurian Knights of the Round Table, because his favorite movie is. Anyway, watch the
What's his
video.
favorite movie?
I forget what it's called, but it's
Well, what a King Arthur movie?
Yeah, it's a King Arthur movie from the 80s, I think, and it's full of like sex and violence, and it's like kind of like the R version of King Arthur.
Wonder if you liked The Green Knight.
He probably did. I would hope anyone would.
Yeah.
But and then you hear about, his ideas for like Justice League 2 where Batman has a bastard son with Lois Lane and stuff like that. It's like, oh yeah, these are like Arthurian ideas that maybe it's not the best
who was
person.
a bastard son?
That Batman and Lois Lane have a child together, and that was going to be a big
What?
plot.
Is that real though?
That was
like
his
in the
plan for
comics?
Justice League 2.
Is that in the comics?
No,
Yeah?
that was his plan for
Huh?
Justice yeah.
That's wild.
I know. So, but we're not here to talk about that.
You see, different plane of thinking.
Yeah, it's like he wants to do his own thing, which on the one hand, I'm like, I do want people to do their own things. These should be adaptions.
Yeah.
I would much rather watch Man of Steel, Justice League, except for it's so freaking long, his cut, and Batman v Superman over this movie, because there is interesting ideas, whether it works or not.
I like the monster in Batman v Superman too.
Yeah, you shouldn't. It's ugly. And
I know,
not
but
good,
it works for me.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, they're trying to find this dumb crown that has demons, and they're gonna break free.
Yeah.
And when they're looking for it, she awakens Death Adam, as they call him, to which I thought they were calling him Death Adam for the first hour.
I thought they were calling him 10th Adam for the first hour.
10th Adam, where are the other 9?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I definitely thought that as well.
I also that day watched an X-Files about like these
9
kids.
Adams.
Well, there were like 9 Eves because these like kids were like genetically created, and they're all like have the same DNA and stuff, so they're like numbered.
Oh, that's cool.
But like the government like tucked them away,
and
no one knows about it. So I think that was also like, wait, it's like I almost was like back to watching the X-Files episode every time they said it. So I was like, well, they got to go to that one prison where they're keeping them.
Yeah, you're like mixing up your media.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're trying to do all this business. They awaken Death Adam, and he attacks all of these people, just brutally kills them. One thing I will say as a positive of this movie is I do appreciate that he does actually murder. Let me put an asterisk next to that, because I agree with you on what you're saying. But I kind of hate when
well, if he's supposed to be a villain.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying when movies are like, isn't this guy the worst? And then it's like, he's really not that bad. And this is like, whoa, this is a lot of destruction for one human.
They talk about it a lot, which was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Micah, I agree with you.
Whoa.
News just came in. I agree.
Okay. So, yeah, that part of it, I do think they did pretty well. And then there's just a struggle on, is this guy going to save us? We need a savior. There's a big statue of you. And then the Justice Society shows up.
So we get
Run
Hawkman.
by Amanda Waller. And here's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
So she runs the Suicide Squad. Everyone hates her. She should be like convicted. And I think at the end of Suicide Squad, I think they're like,
no, she was still working.
She was?
She was. But I think that, it was like, remember, we beat you up.
That doesn't really
and
make
we
sense.
all still have our jobs, and you still have your job, but you stay in line now. That's what I remember. And I do remember as we saw it, it's like, that's a little interesting.
Yeah, that is a James Gunn move. But I don't think that's the right move.
It's always tough, especially it's a superhero thing, which means like it's all about morality.
Yeah.
Or it's not, And it's interesting whenever something happens and there's no consequences to it.
Right.
Right. Like she's a very bad person, but she still gets to keep her job.
Yeah.
Like her job is like she is like I don't know, but she's in charge of everything.
Yeah. So she is also in charge of the Justice Society, which keep world peace. Now, here's something that I hate this idea. The very end of this movie, Amanda Waller shows up in a hologram and she goes, "Hey, Black Adam, you better stay in line." She's still at home doing her.
Well, she's working from home. It's COVID.
Yeah. So she's doing her second scene, which go for it. Like, get paid. I'm glad you're getting paid. You're a great actor. Do your thing. I don't like the performance.
Her performance sucks in these, but I love her too.
But it's like if this lets you make the other movies,
Ma Rainey, this lets you star and be nominated for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, great.
Yeah, like do your thing.
Yeah,
get paid. But she goes, "You better step in line. You better give up or whatever." The whole struggle of the movie. So they just are like, "Hey, that whole struggle that we resolved, it's not over." And then she goes, "'Cause I got some big guns." And then Superman shows up. Now, first of all, on the one hand, I'm happy to see Henry Cavill back because I honestly had no idea
where he lied and all of it.
If his Superman would ever come back.
Yeah.
Because it's been so long.
It has, yeah.
And even though Superman has yet to be adapted well with him, I think he's so good. And I love him as Superman. But so then he's like, "Hey, Black Adam, I think we're going to have to fight if you don't want to turn yourself in." Here's what I don't like about this. She also runs Superman.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that and I'm like, what are you talking about? He is beholden not to the government. Yeah, and in other movies, he's established that.
You see, that's something else. Not to compare everything to Marvel.
Yeah.
Marvel did this well. Probably Marvel did this actually to its detriment with the whole S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff.
Yeah.
Like they went so far into what does the government actually control with superheroes where like that's some of the most boring movies actually. Uh-huh. But they at least were like, how do you not address this? How do you not?
Yeah, it's like I think we complain a lot about the S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff, and watching this movie, it makes me a little like, I guess I was wrong in my complaints.
I need to, because
I understand how their world works. I don't get this world where Amanda Waller is like the president, I guess.
But she was like actually evil in the Suicide Squad, right? She was like actually
movies.
Doing bad things.
Both movies, and actively.
And Marvel, William Hurt, he's like the head of it all. Well, of like the Cordovia stuff. Was that what it's called?
Yeah.
The Accords and stuff. Like, I don't know if that's all S.H.I.E.L.D., but you know what I mean. Like, he kind of represented the government.
Yeah.
And it's like, there was a lot of issues with him that the superheroes had, but it's almost like he was like, this is the rules, though.
Yeah.
He's like, I live by this code, and you have to live by this code. I'm not doing anything shady behind doors. This is just who I am.
Yeah. And then the ones who were turned out to be Hydra.
Yeah, but he never was.
No.
And if he was Hydra, they wouldn't have let him keep his job.
Yeah. So but just this idea that he is beholden to Amanda Waller, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't get it.
He should be independent, or I guess this would suppose that she runs the Justice League as well. Because that's the only way that...
Why can't the superheroes run Justice League?
I think they probably do. But I mean, again, I am out of my depth comic book knowledge-wise with these. But I just don't think the world they gave us makes sense.
I do think that they're like, we have Viola Davis, let's use her. I think that's the only reason why they pepper her in. That's truly it. Like, we have an Oscar-nominated actress, let's just use her.
And hey.
I think it's as simple as that.
Get paid.
Yeah.
Make a woman king. Get paid.
Oh, because she stars in that movie?
Right? Isn't that Viola Davis? Yeah.
I just couldn't remember if that's what the movie was called.
It's called The Woman King, not A Woman King. By the way, we have 3 movie credits.
What does that mean?
Because we used enough, like, we've gone to the theater enough time, they give us 2 free tickets this month, plus our ticket this month.
What are we seeing?
We got to go see Halloween Ends still.
I know we do.
And then maybe I'll go see Ticket to Paradise by myself since you don't want to see it.
No, I'll see it if it's doing well.
I'll go by myself.
But it's got the Clune.
It is actually doing pretty well. Made $16 million last weekend.
If it's doing well, then I'll see it.
It has average scores, but it looks fun.
Prior to that, it's just like, I don't know if I want to spend money on it.
Yeah.
But I guess if I don't have to spend money on it.
Well, there's only 3 credits, Jordan.
So I have to really think, like, do I want to spend money on that one or on Halloween Ends?
Well, we'll see Halloween Ends.
It's a toss-up. Really, it is.
Are our brains broken?
Yes.
What else about this dumb movie?
So, yeah, we skipped to the end, which was confusing.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so the mom, Adriana, apparently is her name. Oh, we were talking about the Justice Society, run by one Hawkman. Who is this? I don't have an effing clue. But wait.
What about some of his personality traits? Like
angry.
Angry. Says you and me several times.
Well, this is a big he has a big positive to him though.
But that's all of his personality traits, by the way.
But he's got a big positive. He's got a cool costume. And what I mean by that is it is bombastic.
Uh-huh.
It is a bombastic costume. And it's refreshing because, and I guess I'm just comparing everything to Marvel. And I'm just going to admit it now. Sorry, guys. But in watching She-Hulk, spoiler alert, Daredevil's in it.
Yeah.
And he has got about the dumbest outfit I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
It is so ugly.
It's terrible.
And boring to look at.
Costumes are not Marvel's strength.
They struggle with costumes. And
Iron Man's always looked cool.
Yeah, he's always looked cool. But the Hawkman, his outfit's cool. He looks like some weird falcon alligators, what I was going to say, gladiator dude.
Yeah.
I'm into that. He's carrying a mace that he never quite uses because I never quite got to see what it does.
Yeah.
I think it shoots flames. I don't know, but it also turns into an axe. All of that's cool. I was into it.
And I think I liked Atom Smasher's costume too.
It looked old-timey. I don't know. It's fine. You know what? I didn't care for it.
I didn't like Cyclones, but I liked that they tried it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I was not a fan of it either. She looked like she came straight from Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, she looked like what was that movie that Oprah Winfrey was in as a wizard?
It's a really famous something.
Yeah.
But
it was like a couple years ago, totally bombed.
I want to say Something Wicked This Way Comes, but it's not that.
No.
It's something like that.
Yeah.
Title-wise.
But I think she even has like a green dress like that, and it kind of looks the same. And I was like, did they look at that?
I will give them props. She's a tornado person, so it's like cool. So she's a spinning gray ball.
Yeah.
No, she's green. Like she's got color.
Yeah.
So I like that. Props to the movie for that one. And then for Pierce Brosnan, his whenever it was the suit, like him in the suit, the CGI looked really bad, I thought. He did this one thing where he's like, he holds up his hand, but it's CGI. And he's like, you have to come back with us. And it's like the CGI thing is doing something a human person wouldn't actually do.
Uh-huh.
Clearly, like, the line and that were like just pieced together. It was very funny. But I liked his helmet.
His helmet, cool.
His helmet was cool. Didn't care for the suit, but also I don't think it needs to be that crazy.
And Black Adam's suit is cool. Like looking at pictures of Black Adam's suit, it's like, yeah, they gave him the suit he has.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's just
so this is just so crazy to me. So like there's this Black Adam dude that's been awoken from thousands of years of slumber, and Amanda Waller's like, you got to assemble a team to take care of him. And so
right. As one does. You,
Hawkman, because I know who you are, therefore everyone else knows who you are. You are fully capable of assembling a crew of people that other people will know and love. So yeah, let's bring in this Doctor Strange character.
Yeah.
And it's like, never heard of him, but I guess he's Doctor Strange. Can
I talk about that really quick? I looked up Doctor Strange because
Dr. Fate. I just keep saying Doctor Strange.
No, but I looked up Doctor Strange because you were like, it's kind of like, feels like a ripoff. And I'm not sure about this, but I did not see anything that jumped out to me that said, like, you know, people cite Doctor Strange as a ripoff of Dr. Fate.
Yeah.
Because Doctor Strange was like 23 years after.
Yeah.
Comic book creation. So I think that's the movie doing a bad job of not trying to create powers that look and react differently than Doctor Strange.
I know.
He's throwing mirrors around.
I know. And he sounds so cool, too, because they introduce him and they're like, he is like a true magician, like no one knows his bounds.
Yeah.
And then at some point, the two kids are talking and like Mark Ruffalo almost touches the helmet and the girl's like,
you mean Atom Smasher?
No, it's young Mark Ruffalo type. And
you can't do that when there's Marvel involved.
And the girl's like, I wouldn't touch that. That's like millions of years old. That's from aliens. And it's like, we have potential for like million-year-old aliens with this helmet. Where's his movie?
Yeah.
That sounds cool. we have not broken through the stratosphere very much with DC.
Yeah.
And like I want to see it. I'm ready for it. Let's break through and see what other galaxies hold for us.
Yeah.
But then
they really have a villain problem, don't they?
They have a huge villain problem.
Well, I mean, their villains hardly ever look good because I'm thinking about Suicide Squad 1, terrible.
What is it?
It's Witch Girl.
Oh gosh.
And then like faceless black goop.
Yeah.
Man of Steel, Zod looks fine. Wonder Woman, the villains don't look so good when they become villains.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Well, we have a cat lady in the second Wonder Woman.
Yeah. And then Justice League, you have giant poop horn monster.
Wait.
Deathstroke.
But I did say that I did like him.
Yeah, he's bad. Batman v Superman, you have poop glob monster that attacks them at the end. Doomsday.
Oh, that's what I meant. That one.
That one's bad. Yeah. Really.
They got big issues with that.
And I think they have more famous villains, funny enough, than Marvel.
Yeah.
I mean, could Marvel...
I never know I've never heard of a villain for Marvel when it's in a movie.
Could Marvel, even their most popular hero, Spider-Man, could they really come out with a movie called Green Goblin and make as much money as Joker? I don't think so. And yet, so it's like DC has those villains and they just are not...
I don't know how to use them.
So...
The team's assembled and they go to Kahndaq.
Yeah, and I just
it
want you to tell people about the conversation Cyclone and Atom Smasher have about getting kidnapped.
Oh my god! Well, that's a little bit later.
Yeah.
But so they're talking about nanobots, and he's so impressed with her. They're so flirting. They're just it's such a chemistry moment, and says something about she's explaining nanobots to him. He's so impressed. And then he's like, is that what you do with your tornado stuff? And she said, oh, no, I got that when I was kidnapped by a scientist when I was 15. Huh? You can't just say that we know, as if that's as if we're seeing a movie that happens to have Spider-Man in it. And they're talking about power stuff. And he's like, well, yeah, I was bit by a spider.
Yeah.
What? That's it? That's all we get? But also, there's no... those two characters are so unnecessary. You could have taken them out of the movie and nothing would have changed. They just did it because of action.
Yeah.
But, they really just added nothing to the movie. And there was no time. There was no time for them.
Yeah. Now, here's what I'm going to say. And this is my opinion. Whatever movie Atom Smasher and Cyclone are in, because it is not the same movie as Black Adam. The tone is different. Everything that they're doing is different. That's the movie I would have preferred to have watched. Yeah. If that makes sense to anyone. I didn't like the other part of the movie. Their stuff didn't work in this movie, but those are the parts that I was like, that could be something.
Especially because they just did not do it well, but the Atom Smasher kid, he has his uncle, has his uncle's old suit still. That's what he's using for his stuff. And he obviously is nervous. He's green. He's not used to being a superhero. And he's scared. But
That's a lot to work with there.
He doesn't we don't get to see him do anything with it.
Yeah. The one, so this was by the way, when were you out on this movie?
Oh, at the beginning when Black Adam started beating up the guys and it looked really bad.
Wow.
But honestly, though, I was out before the movie started.
No, well, let me say something. Audience knows that Jordan usually gets out earlier than me.
Yeah.
I beat you.
When
it was scene 1. I knew when that narration came in and the kid was running around, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a tough watch. This is a bad movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the movie is mercifully short.
Yeah.
And that's a positive.
Yep.
Because they could have been like, it's Dwayne. You want to see him for 2 hours and 40 minutes, don't you?
Basically, the middle part of the movie is him just killing a ton of people and then being mad at him for killing people.
Yeah.
And they never really get him to stop killing people.
Yeah.
It's kind of the middle of the movie.
But there's one thing. So this was the first time I liked something in the movie. And it was like, that's your movie. Why isn't the movie more into that? When Adriana she says to the Justice Society, she goes, "You say that you keep the peace? Where were you when we were covered by this and this? We have a hero now, and you're going to try to stomp him out? That's what you're going to do?"
Yeah. When she said that, it was like, man, that would be an interesting movie to watch.
Yeah, but instead it's like, let's bring in a third villain who is like Poopy Goopy Satan.
Mm-hmm.
And Poopy Goopy Satan, not good.
No, he looks so bad.
Looks bad. He's got, I guess, if there's one thing we know about Satan, there's only one way to beat him. You got to punch him hard. I know it's a superhero movie, but you're sitting there and it's just like, we're talking about like morality. When you involve Satan, you got to talk about morality.
Well, that's what's funny because Black Adam's like,
gotta punch him hard.
Black Adam's like so bad. Like he has murdered. The body count was so high in this movie. He's murdering people left and right, and it's like, man, he is a bad guy. But now he has to fight Satan, and no one's worse. So I guess he's a good guy.
Right.
That's pretty much the movie.
And there's not even like I don't know. It's just like, hey, as far as IP goes, Satan's one of the biggest. So it's like, if you're gonna use him, I know he's not like technically Satan in the movie.
Yeah.
And but it's like, why isn't there even like a line where Poopy Goopy says, "Hey, your soul is so black, like you could join me."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "My soul is so black, and that's the only way I can defeat you." Or something that makes you like, oh, that's interesting. But it's like, let's just punch him hard.
Yeah. Nope.
But they do punch him hard.
They do.
And they definitely like totally destroy that country.
City,
country,
province, state, whatever it is. Yeah. And then they bring in the zombies like with 10 minutes to go.
And they looked so bad.
They looked bad, but we got them and we barely got to see them. And I was bummed about that.
What made me mad is when that was going on and the zombies come out, I was like, oh, I could be watching Doctor Strange. And watching Sam Raimi with the zombies.
Yeah.
Or Evil Dead for that matter.
I know.
But no, I'm watching this movie. You know what? Doctor Strange, he fights his alternate self with music notes. Black Adam, punch people. Cool. I haven't seen that in the last 20 years of every single action blockbuster.
One sequence that was cool in this movie, though, was when Pierce Brosnan was fending off Satan.
Poopy Goopy.
Before Black Adam got there, because he was awakening and it took forever for him.
Yeah.
I liked the sequence where it was like a ton of himself.
Yeah.
Fighting
where he did
Satan.
The Doctor Strange thing.
Well, he did. But I just liked how they did it, where it would be like they would be fighting and then we would zoom out of the reflection of his helmet and then they would still be fighting.
Yeah,
and
that
then
was
it
cool.
Zoomed out of the reflection of his helmet again. I thought that was cool.
That was cool. And I did except for the weird Dwayne being both his civilian self and Shazam, I actually did like the twist that his son gave him the power.
I'm still a little confused by it, but yeah, I like the idea.
Like, I thought that reveal was cool and stuff, but then it's like, hey, there's another twist. This guy is like the last bloodline of that king you tried to kill at the beginning. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. You should have told me that Act 1.
Yeah.
Because now we're in Act 3. I don't care.
Yeah,
he was so bad for so long. You got to tell me that before for me to, like, I don't know, care.
Yeah.
At all. But I did like it. The hell looked cool. I liked how because it was like like the underworld.
Yeah.
And it was literally upside down and like the rain was falling backwards.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool.
I kind of like, yeah. I'm sure it did actually look cool. I just kind of, at that point, I was like, I'm just seeing more flashing images in front of me. They don't mean anything. Yeah, I mean,
you're barely there, but I just liked the idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then they kind of just resolve it by not really resolving anything.
He like kills Satan and then he destroys the throne and he's like, I think I'll stick around for a while.
I had a good joke. Remember with the throne? He sits on the throne and they're like, you can rule the people. And everyone's cheering and stuff. We have no reason to believe that he's a good guy anymore. Like now. He just teamed up because their interests collided.
Sure, yeah.
And then I turn to Jordan and I go, no, I won't rule because I believe in democracy now. And then the next thing they're like, how does it feel? And he goes, wrong. And he goes up and smashes the throne. I'm like, yep. Democracy wins again. The bad guys sure love democracy.
Bad guys love democracy?
Yeah, because Black Adam's a bad guy.
Oh, okay.
He's like,
Oh,
woohoo, I
okay.
want the people to be free, even though I think everything's black and white. I don't know. Yeah. Not a good movie.
No. Boring.
But really, I mean, we just complain. It's really not an offensive movie. It just exists.
Yeah.
No one's going to remember this movie in like 3 months even.
Yeah.
By the time Wakanda hits the theaters, barring that movie is not a disaster, or barring that it is, however that expression goes, no one is going to remember this movie.
No.
So it's kind of like, who cares?
And that's kind of the interesting thing about The Rock, because the guy's in a million movies per year. He is like the busiest working actor.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that. But I do wonder 100 years from now, 50 years from now, when he's gone, how many people will still be watching his movies and rewatching them? Because it's all quantity over quality with him.
It is. It truly is. And I do think, not to judge a man's heart or anything, but I do think his ego's too big for him to make good movies.
Well, it's I know because we don't know the guy, but it's like we've learned a lot about Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
And it's like he might be a nice person, but he loves himself.
Yeah.
So much.
And you know, the easy analogs, you think about Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think I talked about this in our Hobbs and Shaw episode. And in those movies, those guys all have huge egos, I'm sure. Just as big, if not bigger.
I think you kind of have to a certain degree.
Yeah. But they have movies where they allowed directors to do whatever they needed them to do. And so at the end of the day, yes, Arnold and Sylvester have a ton of bad movies, but he'll always be remembered for Rocky. He'll always be remembered for Terminator. Like, and that's just naming 2 right off the bat.
Did Sylvester Stallone not direct Rocky?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
I just want to look it up because I want to know.
I'm pretty sure he did not. I think he has directed.
Well, I know he like wrote it, right?
A couple of them. Yeah, he has. But
yeah, no, he did not direct it, but he wrote it.
Okay. But those guys have movies. I mean, Rambo. You know, they have like iconic movies, and I know Fast and Furious could be considered that in the future, but that's Vin Diesel's baby.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever I'm going to say about Fast and Furious, like, you can tell that Vin Diesel is passionate about that stuff.
You can. And that guy's got an ego as big as The Rock.
Yeah, but he's also got Groot, and he's got Iron Giant. I mean,
how come he's not in that D&D movie?
Oh yeah, that he would have loved to be in that. That's
sure. Kind of interesting. I'm just not thinking about it.
He might not have wanted to work with him.
Oh, I thought of that movie. Okay, so I hope the movie does well simply because they're nailing it from the beginning. It's called Dungeons and Dragons with a subtitle.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
Frankly, I think the trailer's really good.
I think that movie's going to be fun.
And I'm excited about that movie. I think it's going to be really fun.
Can't wait to see it with the Harangon Supremacy group.
That's our D&D group, friends. But yeah, I just, maybe one day, because like I said, I think Dwayne picks the directors instead of the directors picking him.
Yeah.
And if he could work with someone who would be like, no, this is what I need you to do. No. You're going to be out of the movie for 20 minutes. That's the key,
I hope in
or whatever.
His old age, I mean, I know he's like 50, but like, I hope in his older age when he can't be the big guy anymore, that he would allow that to happen.
I would like it to happen now because I know he can act.
Yeah.
You know, it's just... And this movie, when you find out they've been trying to make it for over 10 years, it's like, this was the movie you've been, this is his passion project. He's been trying to make Black Adam for over a decade.
But I wonder how much of that is like,
and it's just
you gotta
not
stop
good.
being so busy. You gotta slow down a little bit and focus on whatever your passion project is.
Yeah.
Because the guy comes out with so many movies a year.
Yeah, but he's got to sell that tequila. And he's got to work out, I don't know, 4 hours a day or whatever.
Yeah.
You know. But at least he had that baby that was crowd surfed to him a few days ago so he could bless it at a big conference he was at a Black Adam event.
I don't like that.
Yeah, people...
don't talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
Crowd surfing baby. Kind of scary.
I don't like that.
Yeah. And one day he'll run for president, I'm sure.
Yeah.
because he's always like commenting on whether he will, and this time he's like, no, I'm not running this time. And when he does, though, he'll probably win, and it'll just be like, what are we doing? What are we doing? But does he have time to sell tequila, be in 12 Fast and Furious movies, and be president? I don't know. And that's something we will be following very closely on this show. But thank you so much for listening, folks.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed another in our classic ranting episodes. But next episode, we're going to be raving because we're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, which is a very good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then look forward to Wakanda Forever in November. And in December, look forward to a little something called Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Oh, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and
a nice change of pace.
And I think Shazam too.
Oh, cool.
But on Patreon, let's see. Yeah, this month it's Bullet Train, and next month we're doing Edward Scissorhands.
Fun.
So sign up. We got 12 to go, and then we have 50 patrons. Mm-hmm. I want to finish 22 with 50 patrons so bad. 2022. Mm-hmm. Please get us there.
Yeah.
Please. And rate and review our podcast on Apple. See ya.
Bye.